Hey, family. Listen, I have missed going live and talking to you all more than I can even articulate. For those of you that are already in, make sure you drop down in the comments, say what's up, let me know who's here, let me know where you're tuning in from. For those of you who are new, my name is Timbaland Bowens, and I am America's favorite EA. And during these live streams, I help my fellow tax professionals with practical tips to help them grow their firm, right? So, as an enrolled agent, I have the license that is the highest that the IRS awards to tax professionals, which allows me the privilege to represent taxpayers before the IRS. What does that mean in layman's terms? If a taxpayer has a tax problem, they can hire me as their advocate to step in the gap for them when it comes to dealing with that IRS situation. So I own a firm, Bowens Tax Solutions, which is a virtual firm based in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's what we specialize in. We work with first-generation entrepreneurs who have a tax balance of six figures or more and they can't pay it in full. So in today's video, it's going to be somewhat of a check-in, but also I want to share some tips with you all because I don't know if you've been watching or not, but it's a little bit crazy outside. Just since January 21st, we've gone through 5 IRS commissioners. And as I've talked to other tax professionals, as I've talked to bookkeepers, those who just became EAs, and those who have been in it for a long haul, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, some people, and I get it, I promise I do, they're thinking about hanging it up, right? Because being in the tax industry right now, one, with economic uncertainty, but then two, with all of the shakiness at the IRS, it makes our job more difficult, especially if you do representation work. I have clients that I'm working with that just keep getting kicked down the can, and we can't get any information or make a lot of progress on their case in the same amount of time that I typically would, because I don't have a designated person I can talk to, because maybe they're no longer with the service. Maybe they left because they went into the whole, what is it called? They opted in and their retirement is going to be deferred until a few months later, or maybe they were laid off. We don't really know. But what we do know is that this current administration is coming for the IRS full force and essentially gutting them out. So now that tax season is over, for you as a tax professional, or if you're a bookkeeper and you don't do taxes, but you complement the work of tax professionals, what does this mean for you now? Right? Because this isn't going to be our typical, oh, I'm going to do what I always do after tax season, because we have to be prepared to help the taxpayers who need us to stand in that gap for them. So let me see who I have. Keep in mind, if you are on LinkedIn, you are not showing up on my live viewer screen. I haven't done this in a while, so let me go ahead and pull LinkedIn up. If you're on LinkedIn, make sure that you give me permission to actually see your comment so that I can pull it up on the screen. All right, so I see myself on LinkedIn. I believe it's Ryo. Ryo says, great topic. Thank you, sir. Thanks so much for tuning in. Is this your first time being on live with me? I don't think I recognize your name. Deja, what's up? Deja says, hey, Deja, welcome back. I know you've been gone for a while because you were studying, but congratulations to you, because now you have that EA behind your name. So this question is for everybody, but I know that Deja just recently became a new EA. What concerns do you have with the state of the economy and the state of the IRS right now with this new credential that you have? Or do you have any concerns? And of course, I will share my opinion and I'll let you guys know. As far as business is concerned, I don't have any concerns, but I'll share why. I want to hear from you guys too. Erica is in the building. Erica, it's been a while. You've been quiet, but I know we kind of talked. I'm going to leave you alone. I'm glad you're here today. Jay Deep is tuning in from LinkedIn. He said tax season is over. Now what? The answer is now bookkeeper is coming in the picture. This is true for some people, but and if people didn't read the description, it could be confusing. In this video today, first, the bookkeeper should have never left, right? Because especially for my business taxpayers, if they had an unexpected tax bill, that means they weren't proactive with their bookkeeping. They didn't have that outsourced because that bookkeeper comes in and can help you with historical data to prepare for estimated tax payments, which would eliminate a tax bill that you're not expecting. Even if you couldn't afford to make the estimated tax payments, which has a whole nother topic, you should not be able to afford them. But even if you couldn't afford them, working with a good bookkeeper, you'll know how much you actually made. One of the mistakes that a lot of taxpayers make in their business is they don't track that income with the expenses, so they don't have a realistic idea of how much they actually made throughout the year. So then when it comes time to file taxes, it's like, right? And it's just a big hit in the face because they're like, well, I didn't make all this money. I know I had more expenses. Whereas if they'd been working with that bookkeeper throughout the whole year, that wouldn't have happened. And they would have known realistically how much they made. They would have kept track of all the expenses in real time and been ready. So Ryo says, yes. Well, welcome to the live stream, sir. Tanya, good afternoon. I hope to see you this evening. Jamo, how are you doing, sir? I don't think I've seen you on LinkedIn in a while. All right. So Erica says, how can we effectively help our representation clients with all this flux going on with the IRS? I'm going to get to it. All right. So hang on a minute. It looks like 5 people on YouTube. Erica and Tanya are the only people that have said anything. So if you are one of the other 3 people on YouTube, drop in the comments, say what's up, let me know who I got on here. Don't just be lurking, right? And then over here on LinkedIn, it looks like I have 6 people. I can't see who the 6 people are, but I know Jamo's talking to me. Thank you. Ryo's talking to me, and J Deep's talking to me, which means I have 3 other people. Right now, LinkedIn on my side is kind of blurry, so you may need to hop over to the YouTube live stream so you're not getting the interruptions. Now, that may just be my LinkedIn, but if it's affecting yours too, like I said, hop on YouTube, or you can also hop on Facebook. Deja said, thank you. I'm not sure if I really have a concern. Tax debt is booming on a federal and state level. Amen. I have a few cases already. Congratulations. You all, hang on. Kentucky outside is kicking my behind right now. So I apologize in advance for being a little raspy because I know my voice is raspy, and I'm teaching a marketing class tonight. So I'm doing my best to try to protect the asset, right? So I apologize because I will be guzzling water probably this whole live stream. But I agree with Deja. People are concerned because the IRS is shrinking, right? We're anticipating it to shrink by another 25%, losing around 2,000 some more people. You all, we're in an industry where we already solved the problem, right? We step in as the advocate and we deal with the IRS. If the IRS is shrinking, one, yes, to address your question, Erica, it's going to be more difficult for us to get through as well and represent our clients because like I mentioned in my situation, you don't know who to talk to, you don't know who's still working with the IRS. You have to follow up on stuff more and make sure it's not just getting kicked down the can. But if we look at supply and demand, whenever the economy is bad, things are good in this industry. That's at least how it's been for me, which I mean, thank God he always provides, right? But if we have less people within the IRS that can help, that's a good thing for us in terms of business, because that means even the people that would typically DIY their tax resolution, they're not going to have the patience to do so. Number one. Number two, they don't have the same skill set and expertise that you do. So even if they are to get through to the IRS, one, the IRS employees are supposed to make sure that the taxpayer is being treated correctly, going through due process and everything. But the IRS is not their friend. They're looking out for the best interest of the IRS. Whereas when a taxpayer works with you, you are looking out for the best interest of the taxpayer. So the big problem that we have isn't going to be the work. Now, I will say it will be more difficult, not in terms of the technicalities of it, but you are going to have the patience of Jesus, right? To have to deal with these revenue officers and agents, especially when you take into consideration how many of them are actually new, right? Because we're doing all this shrinking and we're thinking, oh, the people who were on the probationary period, that's who they are, quote unquote, getting rid of. We have a lot of people that retired as well. And I was talking with a client about this. Whenever you take a new job or a position, you may pick it up quickly, but it takes a few cycles, it takes a few years before you actually have it under their belt. And I would 100% agree with that, even if I look at my first 3 years, which were in public accounting. After year one, I felt pretty comfortable doing things, but then when it came to the next season and I saw my work papers from the prior year, I was like, you know, now I understand why the person who was over me mentoring me was pointing out certain things, because I was like, I was making dumb mistakes. And then we got to year three and I saw work papers and I was like, now I see stuff that I didn't really have. And even now in my own practice, when I am mentoring people or when I'm reviewing returns that have been prepared in my office, I didn't really grasp it until I got through a few cycles. I say that to remind you all that the people working at the IRS are human beings as well. The IRS is comprised of human beings. If we have the majority of people that were there 10 years ago, right? If they're either laid off or they're retired, the new people have to get the new processes under their belt. The processes, period, right? So we have to wait till they have those cycles where they actually understand what they're doing. There are times when I'm on the call, cheat code, bonus gem here. If you are working on negotiation, a tip that I would always recommend, make sure that you have looked at the IRM. What is it? 5.11. Look at the collections part, right? So if you're going for a partial pay installment agreement, look at the IRM that covers that. If you're not familiar, the IRM is the Internal Revenue Manual, but it gives you insight into the guidelines and rule book that the revenue agent is going to be looking at when they're putting you on those brief 5 to 7 minute holds. So if you looked at the IRM, you already have an idea of what they're going to look for next. Now, I look at that, but because I've also been in the tax industry since 2011, since I've also been doing this type of work, oh my goodness, 7 years now, there are some things that I just know, and I'm waiting for them to look it up. And I've even been able to tell people, which amazes me. I don't know if I feel old or seasoned. Hey, you're looking in the wrong part of the manual. You should be looking here. With it being comprised of human beings, we also have to give them our grace and patience. And that ends up working out for you in the long run because then you can have a mutual respect for the person you're talking with on the phone. So, with that being said, we got folks retiring who are learning the new technology system. Probably take 3 cycles before they have the technology system under their belt. We have people that are brand spanking new to the IRS who, one, are learning the IRS systems, and then two, learning the technology advancements at the same time. So even if they understand the technology component of it, they probably don't understand the standard procedures and processes. So our technical work of it, again, is not going to be harder, but it will take more time because we have to have patience as the IRS employees grow in the knowledge of what they're doing in their career. Now, everybody doesn't have the patience of Jesus, like I said. I get that. I feel like being a parent has prepared me for working with the current state of the IRS because there are times with my 11-year-old where I'm like, sis, we had this same conversation already. And you have to have that kind of patience right now working with the IRS because there are certain clients where I've given the same information over and over and over again. And I've given them, like, hey, on this date, I spoke to this agent, this badge ID number. And they say, yes, I see that documented here. They put me on a brief hold to read the notes, and then they ask me for the exact same stuff. But it's just the state of the IRS now and something we have to work through. Our thing, though, that is more important than having that patience for what is next, the taxpayer needs us. Because check this out. I don't care what he says, the IRS is not going anywhere. And by he, you know who I mean. The IRS is not going anywhere because even if we stopped bringing in income tax in the tax year 2026, right, at a federal level, what do you think is going to happen to all the people who owe back taxes? How are they going to get that resolved? There's going to have to be a federal organization that takes care of that. And again, that creates the need for advocates just like us as enrolled agents, CPAs, tax attorneys, right? So, what you have to worry about as a professional in your business is making sure that you are in the right position to help those taxpayers and making sure you are in the right position so that you can be found by the taxpayers. Kyle says, looking forward to hearing your insights on post-tax season strategies and how firms can better prepare for the year ahead. Cool beans, thank you. Muhammad, I am sure you meant Timbaland, but I am doing all right, battling allergies right now. I'm gonna have to eat some cough drops when I get off of here to get ready for 6 o'clock, which if you do not have your ticket already, I am doing a 2 hour post tax season marketing class this evening. It will be from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. If you give me a moment, I'll pull it up. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go. You all let me know if you can see my screen yet. So this is here on the America's Favorite EA website. Tonight's class is the post-tax season marketing. Like I said, 6 to 8 p.m. Now, this is a paid class because a lot of folks kind of live in feast or famine. It's not that hard to market for tax preparation, right? Because everybody needs to have their taxes filed. But what do you do through quarter two, three, and four of the year? So, excuse me, that's what we're going to be talking about in the class on tonight. And then, in addition to that, we're going to take a look at marketing strategies and plans. So, the people who are in the class tonight will walk away with a 12-week content marketing strategy. All right. So, if you are interested in that, I think, yes, I just put the link in the comments for the people on YouTube and Facebook. LinkedIn folks, I'll put it over here as well. But let me get to Nathan. Hello. Muhammad, go ahead, drop your question in the comments. Jamo, good. I'm glad you're busy with work. Let's see here. So Jamo said, or J Deep, I'm sorry, said after tax season, you must sum up all your clients' data. Yeah, and check out those KPIs and what can be improved. So Eric asked a good question. If you guys are not familiar, and I actually think it's a good thing, the IRS has now given taxpayers the ability to prepare their own offer and compromise right within the online portal, right? So with that, if you think about it, and I don't know how people reach out to you, Erica, but this goes for everybody. If you think about how people reach out to you wanting help with their tax problem, this could just be in my firm. I don't know. Everybody thinks they qualify for an offer and compromise, right? So, with this ability to do it themselves, because they've always had the ability to do it themselves, it just wasn't electronic and within their portal. I believe that taxpayers will see how difficult it is, and our ability to prepare an offer and compromise is going to push us further into the expert category, right? Think about it this way. For people who have complex tax returns and they decide to use a DIY software like TurboTax or H&R Block, whatever they use, and then they mess up their return, that automatically pushes the tax preparer to expert level because, oh, this isn't as easy as I thought. I think that it indirectly will become it will become a marketer for us, right? Now, in order to get in front of those people who are going to be messing up their offer and compromise and have rejected offers and compromise, what you can do in your marketing is talk about the offer and compromise. Talk about what all it entails. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think everybody that goes in and does it is going to be messing them up. Instead, I think it is going to be a very good tool for people who can't afford representation, right? Because while everyone has the right to tax representation, everyone can afford to work with a professional, but everybody also doesn't qualify to be helped at the low income taxpayer clinics, right? So yeah, I'm not concerned with it. I think if you are willing to assist people, excuse me, I need cough drops for sure. If you're willing to assist people, if you are I think it depends on how much you're going to assist. It definitely also provides an opportunity for you to not file the offer and compromise for them, but to do a paid consultation. So I've had people that say with their tax debt, they just want guidance. And excuse me, I don't do that with tax returns for taxpayers, but I do it for different tax relief options, and I bill that out hourly. That may be a new thing of revenue that you want to take into consideration, especially if you don't have a lot of people. Um, so you have the opportunity to look at the system as well, especially if you're going to be helping somebody one on one. Maybe you have an offer and compromise preparation kit, right? Where you do a consultation and you tell them like the kind of stuff they'll need to have handy to prepare the online application. I haven't taken a look at the online application. Um, I don't know if it's something that all taxpayers will be able to see if they don't have a tax debt. So I don't know that I will be able to take a look at it, but I'm pretty intrigued about it. And I'm actually considering doing a video walking through it if I can find the access to it. But like you said, people are going to need an advocate because again, with TurboTax is a DIY software, but what are they making extra money on? People who need support because, yeah, they offer a DIY option, but people still need help with that DIY option. The IRS is shrinking. They're not going to have IRS representatives readily available to help people online figure out how to fill out that paperwork, right? And they, I believe, also have a pre qualifier tool. Okay, there's a pre qualifier tool already, and people still mess that up and then send in offers that get rejected. So, again, I think it's another avenue where we can help, we can be an advocate, we can consult, but it's not something that's going to eliminate the need for us to be there helping. Sorry, all of my comments and things are not popping up over here. So I'm just taking a look. Yeah, if you're on the live, don't send me a message. Just go ahead and drop it down in the comments. All right. So the main part that I did want to talk to you all about today is what your plans are for right now because again, I've been reiterating on my social media platforms and newsletters, taxpayers are going to need us even with the advancements so that they can do some more of it themselves, even with the help from the National Taxpayer Advocate, they are going to be overloaded as well. So, the important thing that we need to make sure that we are doing is presenting ourselves as the experts. And with that, too, make sure that you are the expert, make sure that you are learning what the taxpayer would qualify for, make sure that you're learning what paperwork is needed, what supplemental documentation is needed, but then having the confidence to present yourself in that way and be where the taxpayer can find you easily so they can reach out for help. That is one of the things that I see people mess up so often. They say, "Hey, Timlin, I can't find any new clients. I'm wanting to help people. I'm posting. And then I go look at social media and they're posting, but they're not talking about tax problems. I go and look and they're talking about whatever the Trump administration is doing and what happened on Club Shay Shay or what Elon Musk is doing, but they're not presenting themselves as a tax expert. They're never speaking to tax representation problems, and they're all over the place in what they're talking about. And for that reason, people aren't going to reach out because they don't know, one, what you do, they don't know how you help, and they don't know what it's like to work with you. Now, on the flip side, I see people who post about the current events and how it's affecting the IRS administration. I'm even one of those people, right? But I always give you a call to action. And that is what I see a lot of people. Sorry, LinkedIn is glitching. That's what I see a lot of people missing out on right now is not leaving that call to action. If you want people to book a call with you, you have to tell them at the end of the post or video, you want them to book a call with you, right? They're not going to just magically know that. They may send you a DM and say, "Hey, is this something you help with?" But you have to be more direct and assertive and ask for what you want. And also make sure that your content is going to pre-qualify people before they get on the call. It may be discreet, but I believe it's also direct. Oh, so sorry. When I'm on here talking, I let you all know, like, hey, I work with first generation entrepreneurs who owe the IRS six figures or more. So guess who I'm calling out? First generation entrepreneurs who owe six figures or more. That's going to eliminate the person that owes $500 and they're mad at Trump because he doesn't pay taxes. Right? Like, I don't have time for that being booked. Another thing that I implement when people book the call, there is an application they fill out. Now, is it like a job application? No, but it's a pre-qualifying tool for me because I'm going to ask them, how much do you owe? How many tax returns do you still need to file? Are you comfortable for paying this starting rate? I even do that with my initial tax consultations for tax clients. Why? Because I want to make sure that they are comfortable with paying my fee. If they say no and give the reason, like, I think that's too expensive, guess what? I'm canceling the call because if they want my advice or help with something for free, they can check out my YouTube channel or my podcast. That's where the free information is. But if they want my help to get them out of the situation that they found themselves in with the IRS, that's something that's going to eventually have to be paid for. So, on a 15-minute call, I'm not giving strategy, I'm not giving advice. I'm seeing if that person is a good fit to work with me. And what I see a lot of you all doing is in your content, you're not pre-qualifying the person. When they go to book a call with you, you're not pre-qualifying the person. So then you end up getting frustrated because you're on the phone with people that just want to ask you a bunch of questions, and they see you as an expert, but they don't respect you as one. And here's the difference. They know that you have the answers to their problem. They know that you know what they should do, but they're not willing to pay for that. That is not respecting you as the expert. Okay? So, something I want you to take into consideration, and don't get me wrong, the internet is amazing. For sure, if you're using social media as a method of marketing, continue to do that, but be intentional in the content that you put out. But also have an online platform of your own that's not connected to Meta, because Meta is fishy. They're fickle, right? They'll love you today, hate you tomorrow. Have a platform that's not YouTube. Have a platform that's not LinkedIn. Even if it's a Google landing page, if it's a simple website, have something that is yours that you own, where people can always find you, where people can opt into finding information and hearing your expertise, such as an email list, because I have a nice following on LinkedIn. Got over 5,000 there, got over 5,000 on YouTube. But if Google decided, hey, we don't like Timlin anymore, we're going to take down this YouTube channel, I have the people that would buy from me on the email list. And guess what? What I offer in exchange for an email is something that only my ideal client would be interested in. So even before they give me the information, I've pre qualified them to make sure that it makes sense for them to be on my email list as somebody that I'm going to nurture, as somebody that I'm going to educate. Because, yes, here to fill the tax literacy gap one taxpayer at a time. But at the end of the day, I still have to eat too. So if I'm going to spend one on one time with somebody, there has to be a return on investment for me as well. And that's what a lot of you all are missing in your business. Maybe your call is or your calendar is booked, but you're trying to figure out, why am I not converting these people? One, it could be a you problem with conversion. But the other thing where it could be a you problem is because you haven't pre qualified the people that you're on the phone with. Again, I don't want to be on a call with somebody who owes $1,100. And don't get me wrong, that $1,100 may be a dire situation to them, but I don't want to be on a call with somebody that owes $1,100 and they haven't changed their withholding since 2018. No, that's a withholding issue. They need to go look at my W-4 withholding video, not clog up my calendar. I don't want to hear about somebody hates Trump or somebody hates Biden and that's why they have this tax issue. No, I'm not working with somebody that's not going to take responsibility for the tax problem that they have. You all shouldn't want to do that either. So let me see, who is me? He says, I will have completed and passed all EA exams by October. Test 1 is done. I have no idea what to do after that. Well, me, if you have not already, I would invite you to go to americasfavoriteea.com. And with that, if you join my email list, I have articles that go out. There is one, you passed the EA exam, now what? But because of the, again, economic climate change, I will actually be doing a series to address that. I don't know if I'm going to start it next week or I'm going to start it in May, but you passed the EA exam, now what? Because what an enrolled agent did when I first passed the exam, the representation work is a little different. So I want to address how it's different in this day and season. All right. But congratulations in advance on completing and passing the EA exams. I hope that you have the next one scheduled pretty soon, but I look forward to you having that EA behind your name as well. Rail says, what role do you think outsourcing can play in helping firms stay lean and scalable after tax season? I think it can play a good role. I will say this, for me personally, tax task, so tax preparation, any type of tax planning, any type of tax prep, any even admin task for Bowen's Tax Solutions, I will never outsource again. And when I say outsource, some people have a negative connotation for that. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to send anything overseas either. That's not what I mean. When I say that, I'm not going to be outsourcing to contractors at all. Anything else, again, admin task. Well, there's one person, but admin task, tax prep, representation planning, I won't be outsourcing, but that's because of personal experience that I had. And I want to give the disclaimer because, again, a lot of people have the negative connotation like, oh, overseas. That's not what it is. The person who actually cost me the most money was somebody that was stateside. And yes, there is training that needs to take place for employees, but for me and my firm, I would rather train somebody from A to Z and then be an employee versus hiring a contractor. assuming that they know the position and that I just have to train them to how I do things in my firm. Um, yeah, no, I don't want to deal with that again in my firm. Now, for other people, it is work that's been beneficial. What I will say is if you were going to be outsourcing tax preparation work, even if it's stateside, especially if it's not stateside, you need to make sure that you are following the proper procedures and letting your clients know that this work is being touched by somebody outside of your firm. That is something that a lot of tax professionals prepare to do. In solo firms, that is your duty and obligation to your client to inform them that a third party is seeing their information. You have to make sure that they're okay with that. All right. So Felix says, hello, Timlin. I just received my EA license in the mail last week. Congratulations, Felix. Any recommendations on where to get an entry-level job? I have no experience. Well, with tax season being over, I was going to say, now I've never done it. I will tell you, I'll give you that disclaimer. But I know people that have, and for basic tax situations, and for some that are a little more complex as well, a good resource that I would say is working for Intuit. And I don't even like Intuit. That's for another video. I don't like the monopoly that they have. But again, to get the basic tax experience and still have a supervisor, somebody that's going to be reviewing the returns with you, I would definitely say Intuit. Now, I'm making the assumption that they're not hiring since tax season is over, but that may not be true. That may be something that you want to look into to see if they do still have work available. Because I know in Florida, those affected by Hurricane Helene, they have until May 1st, so that's a closer deadline. But for people that live in Louisville or Kentucky in general, like I do, all 120 counties were considered a natural disaster site by FEMA and the IRS. So we actually have until November 3rd to file and pay our taxes and get in the Q1 estimated payment, right? So there are caveats there. Intuit may still have the work. Outside of that, honestly, I don't have any recommendations. There are a lot of smaller EA firms that mail to get stuff cleaned up. And honestly, a lot of us haven't fully recovered from the burnout that was experienced during the pandemic years. So there are people looking to hire, is what I'm trying to say, Felix. But congratulations and wishing you all the best in finding somewhere to get that entry level job and experience. So, Ryo, this is for my tax prep people, tax professionals, seeing what's next. Not really the opportunity to pitch me. I can talk about this in a different time because I'm actually going to be doing a series about when to hire and what to look for and what task uh, you can have that person do. But again, I'll be looking from the perspective of hiring an employee, not from outsourcing. All right. So I know this was midday. I only gave you all an hour notice that I was hopping on here. So I truly do appreciate you hopping on here with me. If you are watching this, catching the replay, and you are interested in starting your own enrolled agent firm, make sure that you head over to americasfavorite.com/enrolled agent. And there you can join the free community within that group. And it's not on Facebook, it's not on LinkedIn. It is actually through the website. What I will say is it will invite you to have the app. You can have the app and I'll do push notifications to your phone, but it is easier to navigate the site if you are actually in the browser. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. So we deal with it, right? But I do send out a newsletter. There is the community. Let me, because I know we're under 200, but let me tell you how many people are in there. But there are people from different levels, right? Who are enrolled agents, who are aspiring enrolled agents. The majority of us in there do have our own firm. So there are questions asked about marketing, there are questions asked about preparing for calls. Um, it is, in my humble opinion, a very good resource. It's something that I wish I would have had when I started my enrolled agent firm, right? Because I saw all this information about starting a bookkeeping firm, starting a CPA firm, but nothing for enrolled agents. So right now we have 171 members. I will drop the direct link for that into the comments, and I'll drop it on in LinkedIn as well. We'd be more than happy to have you. And again, don't forget tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern, there will be the post tax season marketing class. I want to talk about what marketing actually is, because it is way more than just posting to social media. You need to have a strategy to be intentional when you go outside and talk to people. You also need to have a strategy and be intentional with your online space that you own as well. And then the people who attend will walk away with a 12-week um, marketing strategy. So if you have any questions about that, drop them in the comments before I head off, because I am definitely heading off. But I will be going live a little more often, because when we started all this, I was on here every week at 11 a.m. Eastern. And what I have found is there are people in other time zones that like to check it out. So I'm trying to figure out what a good time would be for us to hop on here. Um, but yeah, if you guys have any questions about the marketing class or the group, or even topics you'd like for me to cover, let me know in the comments. I hope that you all have a wonderful Tuesday, all of it that remains. And hopefully, I see you tonight in the marketing class. Bye now.